Good evening. I call to order the City of Gerald Budget Workshop and Special Called City Council Meeting, Wednesday, September 11th, 2024. We're going to start off with a roll call. We have all members present. And we will have an invocation and pledge of allegiance led by Councilwoman Penny Paulson.
Good evening. In remembrance of 9/11, I'm going to ask that we all bow our heads in a moment of silence before I proceed with prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we pause to remember the great losses and courageous acts of September 11th. We lift up those who are still affected, families of the victims, police officers, firemen, first responders, and all who were involved. We pray that your presence will continue to embrace the hearts of everyone. Lord, I'm grateful for our amazing city of Gerald. I'm grateful for the blessing to serve with our elected officials. I'm grateful for the businesses, the churches, the families, and the citizens that make our city the amazing place that it is. I pray that each of us this evening will acknowledge our calling and perform it faithfully. I pray for this council meeting tonight. Grant us wisdom and guidance as we deliberate on the items before us. Make every decision be righteous in your sight and for your glory. We give you the thanks and praise for all your blessings in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is public comments. We have two here. We'll start with Charles Aspen.
Just two?
Just two.
Okay. I'll keep it short and sweet. I don't have any analogies, I don't have any funny stories, I don't have anything for anyone tonight. Except I just want to say, I've worked with every council, every city manager, every mayor, I think every single elected official. I've worked on a lot of different boards for the city of Gerald, trying to help every way that I can. And I'm embarrassed to say that this is by far the most useless city council I have ever seen in 23 years. Y'all are hung up on self-support or self-righteous deals that you're not doing what's right for the citizens. And you need to get your asses out of the way and get back on task and do what's right. That's it.
Thank you. We have one more here. Jason?
So she sees what's happening. And of course, she posted it all, so you know what it all is. Good evening, council. This evening I come before you to inform you that Jeff Seidel has told some very false truths to the community about me. While he mentioned another resident of our community in this packet that I'm presenting to you, I'm only going to speak about myself, as I feel that that is appropriate. Why am I presenting this to you? Because the information that he has provided to the community via Facebook indicates that I have broken the law, spending HOA funds and allowed robbing of HOA funds from a management company. First, Jeff is not part of our HOA community, and he neglects to mention that. Sorry, because I'm just is not part of the HOA community and neglects to mention that. And next, this is far from the truth. And I want to make sure that you know that you have a fellow council member presenting this lie to the community. Jeff knows that there is no proof of this allegation of either statement. There is no lawsuit against me, nor is there any proof of the previous management company actually robbing from the community. I did not need to discuss the rest of the comments of me because I have posted multiple times in the past regarding his other false statements about me. If you'd like to know those details, I can provide those after the meeting. Now, knowing that Jeff is spreading false statements to the community, can you believe the rest of the statements regarding Danielle? I cannot speak directly to the EEOC matter, as I only have what the media has presented to the community. You have to ask yourself, why is Jeff reposting statements on Facebook about Danielle, about being a cancer to the city, and also perhaps about to be cut from City Hall, and lying about me instead of when this was first brought to the attention of the community and focused on his accusations and not me? This is about you. I've even corrected myself regarding a previous post, and that post was removed. I didn't cause this issue, Jeff. You obviously did, and it seems to have been happening for a long time now. You want to make the excuse to the community via your Facebook post that she had a complaint in the past, meaning Danielle. You knew this upon hiring her. Why did you hire her?
Not true, but I don't need to talk about it.
You're not supposed to speak to me. Don't speak to me. You're interrupting me. Let me get back to where I was. I didn't cause this issue, Jeff. You obviously did, and it seems to have been happening for a long time now. You want to make the excuse to the community via your Facebook post that she had a complaint in the past. You knew this upon hiring her. Why did you hire her? It makes absolutely no sense if this is the case, as you are now trying to show in that post. This is what she does when she works for a city. To be honest, at this point, if Danielle stays with the city, it would seem to me a miracle to have her to continue working with you.
You're 3 minutes, right?
He interrupted me. Can I have just 3 more sentences? That's all I have. Yes, no?
3
yes,
sentences.
Thank you. Never mind, I've said enough. I think that's enough. That's good enough. Thank you.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 3, budget workshop. Purpose of this public workshop is to discuss the upcoming 2024-2025 budget. Workshop is open.
Did you receive your answers to your questions?
Yeah, about an hour ago. And here's the problem. Here's my question. So yeah, that's my problem. Here's what I submitted, and here's like a 10 font. So I don't have a chance to go through everything, but I'm sure that it's open at workshop, and we'll be able to talk about that, which is what I advised that we should have done months ago. We should have a couple workshops. We need those workshops, and now apparently the mayor understands we need them. I would like maybe perhaps an explanation for the folks why we are not going to vote on this budget today.
The explanation was sent to you via email.
I'm talking about for everyone to understand why we didn't vote.
So Williamson County informed us there's a section of the property tax code that states if you do not pass your budget and property tax code at the public hearing meeting.
What public hearing was that at? That's because
At our last meeting 8 days ago.
Okay, go ahead.
We have 7 days then to set a date and pass both of them. This is the 8th day.
Okay. So understood that the first one that you called a budget meeting was not actually a budget meeting, it was not.
Which meeting was that?
That was the first, what you call an open.
The public hearing?
That was a public
Yeah, well.
By city ordinance, we have to
there
have
was
two,
no-
we have to have two public hearings.
And that's exactly what I was getting at.
Okay.
And we did not have two of them, even though there was no one here.
We had two of them.
You may call it one, but there was nobody here to answer.
We announced it to the public.
Okay.
Well, I mean, for disclosure.
Art, did that count as a public hearing?
If no one spoke, if you had a public hearing, you opened it.
Opened it and closed it? Or
That's a
you did it
public
twice?
hearing.
Okay. Thank you.
For citizens to be aware of that, we received our budget, and the citizens received our budget on July 24th, correct?
No, Danielle, I'm on.
My name's not Danielle.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Do I need to be yelled at here by you?
I'm correcting my name, sir.
Okay, well, ma'am, I'm gonna correct you, okay, am I here to?
Did you receive the budget on July 25th?
No,
The citizens received it, and we received it a lot.
you put it online. You do not answer any questions. I've asked for line items in here over and over again.
That is pure lie.
Yeah.
The first questions
Oh.
we got from you about this budget were your
September
list of
6th.
questions to me.
Mhm. No, no. Danielle was asked several times, more than several times, A, to have workshops, B, for 1 year, we have not had any information as to what our budget is, where we are in the budget, or whether we're over or under in anything.
Okay, well,
So we have had no meetings on that,
Okay,
all right?
well, I'm ready for the
Despite
workshop.
several requests.
I'm ready for the workshop.
Me too.
And,
It's
thank
hard.
you so much for submitting your questions. For the audience, there's a copy of these questions in the foyer. If you'd like to see and follow along, I encourage you to do so. First and foremost, Mayor, I want to thank you for taking all your time to answer every question that Jeff submitted. You put a lot of time and research and energy in this, and I'm happy to go over it with you. We'll see how much time it takes, because you can imagine it took him even greater time to produce these results. Okay? Page 7. 1.25 million is being transferred out of general fund to page 17, capital projects for 3 vehicles, tractors, parts, PD radios. Was this money traditionally spent on water, sewer infrastructure? This is where we had to do that reconciliation, Jeff. This is to format and emulate other cities and bring transparency to where funds are being spent. Danielle reconciled previous budgets by pulling past transactions of the city's revenues and expenses for each fund to show where our cash reserves had come from, rather than just lumping them together. That created additional transparency for these citizens. It's our understanding that previous budgets rolled excess funds from each account into one account, which is what I was saying, and that was called the cash reserves. Money was then pulled from this account to wherever the city needed funds. In the past, these cash reserves were used to fund utility projects. However, it is typical for the revenues from the general fund and the utility fund to cover their own expenditures, which is why you see the 1.25 unallocated funds out of the general fund, so that we could do that. What is the $132,022 enhancement that's listed on page 8, that's city admin revenue, listed on page 21 for the wastewater operator? Is this additional money from LUEs or the result of Frontier Water Study or from contract labor? Where was this spent last year? The answer is in our budget, Jeff. The city employee salaries, as we were instructed already, are coming from those budget line items. This is a reflection of those salaries.
I am going to also just interrupt you, and I think as far as the fact that we are city council.
Mayor, may I have the floor back, please? I was talking.
Go ahead and finish.
We have given 3 raises out in the last year. Several people have gotten 4 raises. If we continue at another 5% increase for staff, I don't think the public is aware. I've never received 3 raises in a year, and I think it's out of order.
Okay.
May I please?
Continue.
Okay. Page 8, in the 2023-24 court fines were budgeted at $39,713, but we only had $6,200. Why is that? 2024 budgeting increased to $40,507. You asked the question why. You are clearly misreading this budget.
Is this a
The
workshop?
This is a workshop. We can publicly talk.
Okay, great. Then is it an attack on my questions or?
No, so these are your questions for
I've got
transparency.
these. So
For
you want me to
transparency
read that
purposes, I
now?
want the citizens to hear your
Mhm.
question. That's all it is. You talk about
Is
transparency.
it, I do talk about transparency.
Citizens, I
We
want
don't
you to
have
raise
to.
questions.
We want to hear it, you know. Hey,
Do you want me to
it's fine
silence the
with me.
citizens?
Oh, are you kidding? Go on.
Thank you.
Continue. Go on, continue, have fun.
You're misreading this budget. You didn't pull from the correct line item. If you had gone down in the columns, you'd have clearly seen that we were over budget. Significantly over budget, 500% over budget for those revenues. Pretty impressive.
I'll stop you there too. The reason you're over.
Page
budget-
9.
Yeah,
What
well,
is a $182,536 contingency?
not an answer.
Why are we 200,000 over on legal fees? Oh, that's an awesome question. Awesome question. The $182,536 contingency has actually been revised to $169,702 in the budget, which was given to the council at the last meeting. The city is applying for a grant to cover additional salaries of the new police positions that were proposed on the budget. If we don't get that grant, then those positions are additionally budgeted for in this budget.
Do you have any idea what the increase is, the
So,
mayor and the
on-
police budget?
I'm really curious as to why all of your emails and
I have
everything.
questions.
But I'm
all right?
curious
Is
as
that
to
not
why
what the
every
public
email-
wants answered?
The public needs answers, you're correct, because it's interesting that city council emails now, everyone almost copies the city attorney. Why is that?
I
Are
can
you
ask
afraid
you
they're
why
gonna
that
get
is.
released again? I don't copy the city attorney on my emails unless it is a response to. And you are happy, citizen, you're most welcome to do an open records request on my email. I encourage you to do so. Okay? I encourage the citizens to do so. Art, if I've emailed you, I encourage you to release it. Okay? Again, you're misreading this budget, Jeff. Clearly you're misreading. Page 10, development services, P&Z. I see you're moving them to the old PD site. Where will the EDC space be? Are you planning on rolling the EDC into development services? Why is this being developed? Because of staff growth? Moving contract debts in-house? Who is the director of development services? Why was this needed? And evolution not covered with the city council for oversight? Well, first and foremost, you gotta know that the EDC is not represented in development services. They are on page 29 of this budget. They have their own budget. So why you would even associate it with development services is beyond me. They're clearly stated as a separate service. The EDC
And
is a
I'm gonna
separate city
recommend, by the
function
way, that we
with the purpose of
remove
economic development. Development services
from the
takes
budget
over
back
after the
into the
agreements have been
general fund.
completed for the EDC projects. The director of development services, her name is Jordan, FYI. You knew that. Okay? This transition is typical city staff function, as all roles and responsibilities remain the same. It is creating a functioning department structure for synergy of development with related departments. Page 11, why are we more than doubling the budget for police, plus a portion of capital projects budget is allocated to them? Do they plan on taking over the Sonterra contract? Again, the increase in the PD budget was already disclosed. That
No
revenue
line
right there.
items, again, and we need to see line
And
items.
moving them to the new building, with that, creating new equipment, maintenance, expenses for 3 additional officers, and increased costs to the county for contract labor.
How did that compare to
RPD
last year's budget? So we bust
Significantly-
budget all over the place.
Significantly more so we can protect our citizens in the regard they would like to be.
Sounds great.
I agree.
If
RPD
if
has
you would like to
lacked
say
the
something about the police
resources.
department budget, we can,
Yeah, well, look.
Focus on that.
You're just
Paper
going
now.
over questions that I asked.
I'm going
And you're wanting to make them ridiculous. I don't think there's any stupid questions. I don't think the public has stupid questions. And I'll say it again, I am out talking to the people in public, and they have no idea what's going on in our budgets, and would like somebody to represent.
If you're educating them, I'm sure they're lost.
Very
Again,
honest.
this is going to allow our police department to function for 24 hours, which has been a desire of many citizens for a long time.
Yeah.
Currently, the city does not have a plan to take over the Ontario contract. Council could get direction for the PD to look into that, but it would require a lot more resources and officers in order to achieve that. Page 19, administrative enhancement of $169,652 is the difference between projected revenue and expenditure, since we didn't make the projected revenue. Again, clearly misreading the budget, not following the right line items. You'll pull the budget, turn to the page, you'll see that the columns aren't aligned.
Not having detail.
Page
Yeah.
20, again, the revenues, seem to have come in at $812,400 under budget, and yet you're budgeting $150,308 over last year's budget, which is making us $962,708 over last year's revenues.
And you're
What
$1
is the
million over
justification?
last year's budget, and thank God
You
that
are
we're a growing city,
Jeff,
because it's the
Jeff,
growth
help
of
me
the
out
city that has allowed that.
Jeff, do me a favor,
a
turn
number
to page
to
19 of your
increase.
budget. Do me a favor, turn to page 19 of your budget.
Continue.
Please.
You continue.
Please turn to page 19. You're reading the budget wrong, Jeff. With every ounce of respect in me, you're not following the proper line items. What do you see?
You tell me, you're going
What's
over
your
my
question?
budget. You tell me what my question is, Bonnie. You're going line by line through my question.
I
Why
am.
don't you finish it up?
You said on page 8, you have an enhancement of 132, sorry, wrong line. Page 19, it was administrative. You've got to go down your columns, Jeff. You're using the actual and budget and amendments and projected. You're not following the correct columns for the reflection of the results. You see the columns at the top?
Yes, I understand that, Bonnie. And once
But you're
again,
taking the budget and the actual and not
these are
mirroring
questions.
them.
Thanks for answering. Thanks for answering.
All right,
But you do see that on a lot of your questions,
I
you're
do see
looking at
where
the
there's
wrong
answers in
column.
here, and I do understand what you're talking about.
Okay.
Do I look at a wrong column, and do I make a question as to where does the money come from, where's the line items that attach to that? Why are we $1 million over budget, yet we're over because of the growth that we've had. Thank God we've had that growth. Without that growth, we would be $1 million in the hole in our budget from last year, and we're not even talking about the budget.
Without
What
spending
do
any
you
more
mean
time.
by in the hole? That's what I'm,
In a negative column, okay? That's not a positive, that's a negative, okay? It shows growth only because of the amount of houses that have been added and taxes that have been there.
okay, well, that's what we use property taxes for when we're.
Which reports come out in February or March, which I am well knows, which shows who paid what in taxes. And we have an idea where that money comes from and where we are in our budget. We have had no information, regardless of how many requests, that have been delivered to us so that we know.
So
I
you're-
think Diane has that information from the county in about March, okay, to say what are these, and then the money comes in from taxes on a little draft. I can go into detail and say, how many homes do we have? 4.3 whatever percent of what gets given in your taxes comes into this city. That is not a large amount of money. You cannot blow a budget by $1 million. We have very little money that actually comes in from total taxes.
But what do you mean by blowing the budget? That's what I'm
Okay,
not
look,
understanding.
is it terminology?
The
We
one
missed
point-
the number.
No, so if you want to go through the budget line item by line item, we need to look at the enhancements.
Okay, but we don't want to look at last year's budget and what we were supposed to be budgeting, because we never talked about last year's budget. Do you know what last year's budget was?
It's right here.
Well, then go ahead and tell me how you're $1 million out of the way, and then you say that we're profitable.
I'm not understanding $1 million out.
And then
What are you
just
referring
want the
to?
line items. I will say it again with no answer.
we've
We know
decided
those
the line items.
questions,
That's what
these
this is.
answers
This is the
in
line items.
March.
Line items.
Okay?
These are line items.
I mean detail.
Okay, well, just to continue on, we won't go on line items anymore because we're not staying in the right column. There was a request to add a line item to the budget. Request to submit an ordinance and or line item for the council members to receive a monthly stipend of $300 beginning each term. Though a stipend is a fixed amount of money provided to people pursuing unpaid work to help offset expenses. This has already been discussed, this is not even a question, this is a statement of you wanting, to get a
Yeah,
stipend.
and I'll make it again.
We can't do that. That's already been
It's not
discussed
another
last
answer
year.
that we can't do.
And I knew that when I signed up to
And
serve.
Art
I'm not
will
here to
speak
make
to
any
that as
motions.
well.
I think that's a reflection
Yeah,
of
speak to
our
that, Art,
legal-
speak to it.
legal,
Is it allowable to have stipends for city council? Or are we the only council that works for zero? I've had about, how many meetings then?
So, yes, council can receive pay.
Thank you, Art. But they're
What
$1 million over,
compensation?
how do they do that?
Oh, we were $1 million short, but you
Yeah,
still
we're
wanna pay us,
$1 million
you wanna get
short.
paid $300?
Yeah, this isn't an open field.
Let's, it's a workshop, so it's open to the public.
It's a
Yeah.
workshop.
Yeah,
It's a workshop, and it's open.
As a citizen, I'm concerned. He's telling us we're $1 million over budget, yet he wants a stipend. And he signed up to work for free for the good of the city.
Well, that's not
And he
true.
wants our vote again.
That's not true.
And he
That
doesn't do
is
his
true.
homework.
That's not true.
It is very true.
You didn't sign up to work for the good of the city?
Oh, now,
That
now,
would
see,
be-
isn't that a wonderful phrase? I didn't sign up to work for free. Personally.
Yes.
Yes, you did.
actually you did, oh my God.
You don't do a thing, Charles, that you don't make money at.
My ass.
That's
Oh,
not
really?
true.
There's this
Yes.
Mr.
He's here
Yeah,
right
okay.
now.
All right, so when we talk about our HOA, you destroy.
All right, we're not
All
going
right,
to-
By
we're
not
not going to
addressing
attack
what was
citizens.
there, that's shameful.
Let's try-
That's what
let's try
caused
it.
this problem.
You are the biggest liar this city has ever
You
seen.
left a home
And if
place
you had
dry, buddy.
any idea
Oh.
what you're talking
All
about.
right.
You
Yeah,
you wanna go to
totally screwed
recess?
it up.
All right,
Everybody come good.
I'm done.
All right.
Everybody.
Mayor, I know this is calling attention, but I want to
Sure.
give you one last thing, please, and then I'll stop. There's copies for citizens to, you're most welcome to take them if you're interested and do your own researches. And again, Mayor, I want to say thank you. I know it took you a lot of time for you to produce all of these answers, and I appreciate your work in doing so. But, I mean, Jeffy, you did bring up a really good point, is that, you know, you were looking at, you know, how costs have gone up. And, you know, and that's a, you know, and how it has an impact.
Of course.
Okay. And then, just hearing that impact, and then seeing that, our leadership has requested for our staff to receive a 5% increase, and you discredited that 5% increase. Why would you discredit that increase when you're telling us that we're already seeing a 25 and 50% increase in our own expenses? 5% is minimal to take care of this current staff.
Look, I have documentation from what your studies have produced to allow our city manager to make 2.25, that show other similar cities, what they pay. I have also studies that will show you what staff gets paid in similar sized cities. And we are not underpaid by any stretch of the imagination. Plus, last year, we put in a 6% kicker that the city puts in for every employee.
Retirement?
I just wanted to be
You don't want
recognized,
them to
though,
retire.
Jeff, and fellow council, if we really don't get our act together and pass this budget with the opportunity it presents, we're costing these citizens.
I agree.
We're costing our citizens the 2-cent tax reduction that's been proposed in this.
Look, I agree, and I believe we'll pass this budget. Not as currently written.
Oh, my goodness.
Get him
I
out.
have a question.
I'm gonna get him out.
Just so I can know.
I'll start the
The
recall.
statement was that some people got 3 raises in 1 year. Are these just bump ups, or were these due to increasing certification or promotion? What are we just giving out raises left and right?
Jeff made that comment, so
Answer the question.
you were the one that commented that they got 3 in a year.
I didn't give them.
What departments?
Who got him?
Diana Pease is one of them. And there's several others. Jordan left, quit, came back at double her salary, got another increase, and now wants another 5% increase. I think one, but if you don't look into the detail and get the itemized deal, you have no idea. These line items, it's a budget, people. You can move numbers around and make them look like anything you want, just like our political scene. You can say anything you want and somehow
Okay, so
justify it.
where's your proof that they are
Okay,
overpaid?
look, look, I'm done, okay, I'm done.
Where's the proof they're overpaid?
He's out.
We will go ahead and we will have on the 24th a budget where council has the right and the ability to make changes to the budget how they see fit. We'll see what happens.
I understand, but can we discuss what changes you would like to make
No,
right
I'm
now?
done, I said I'm done.
What change?
Now, since no one else seems to have anything to say, we should
I'm still
start.
waiting for an answer.
Yeah, no, the budget, The workshop's still going on. We have,
Since you're, since you're.
Questions?
Do you have any employees that have gotten just three pay raises? I know like the law enforcement side, they can go up as their
Actually,
certifications go
the
up.
answer is no. There was one pay raise at the beginning of the year, and there will be one pay raise this year. I again, just take Diana as one example. Okay, Diana threatened to quit, there were 3 people here, she got a big bump, then she came in, got 2 more raises, she gets this one, that's 3 raises.
have you asked Diane what roles she's
Look, I'm not,
performing right now?
no. You asked me a question, and I answered the question.
He's asking you a
What roles
question.
is she performing right now?
That's particular.
I believe she's performing about 4 roles.
I believe.
So if you take the average salary on all 4 of those roles, she should probably be making a lot more money.
She should actually be making significantly more money for doing what she
I'm
does.
just stating facts.
No, that's your opinion now, facts.
Are you performing multiple roles for the city right now?
What are,
Roles that you've taken on?
city secretary, finance director, HR director, what else is it? City secretary,
There's 3 right there.
HR, so.
Even if you paid her $30,000 for each position.
Why is she doing all those positions? Like,
Yeah, not enough employees.
They all quit. Why? Because the council did. Not likely. Maybe because of our last previous city manager is that, is the reason, okay? So do the professional.
That's on Vanessa?
Did,
Look,
did,
we'll start with Vanessa, and we'll start with.
Daniel, did she-
Budget workshop.
was she able to answer the question for you?
I can easily answer those questions.
we don't have enough employees, correct?
We don't have enough employees.
Work with.
That's what she's doing.
Okay. Is the city working to hire another employee in your, in the one that left?
We revised it to where someone can help me out.
She's gonna receive an assistant.
Okay, well, that costs less than a full employee. That looks like it's being budgeted properly.
And like I said, we've got to see what comes out of this budget so we can have additional personnel and staff. That's correct.
Are there any specific line items that y'all would like to discuss when it comes to 1.25 million? If y'all think it's allocated right, if it should be reduced in some areas?
In my years of service, this is the most transparent budget I've ever been provided.
I'd have to agree.
Do you not agree, Jeff? That the budget's not transparent? Just curious.
No, I think it's a fine budget, actually. I just don't agree.
Is it transparent though? That was the,
Look, how many times do you want me to say it? We do not get detail. We have not had it.
so it's not transparent?
Listen to me. Ask a question, allow me to answer, okay? Just like you
But
do
you didn't-
on
but
the
you didn't
pages to
answer.
attack me out there on
But you
Facebook.
didn't answer my
Here
question.
you go. The answer to the question is that we have not had for over 1 year, one update as to where we were in alignment to last year's budget and the line items and the detail within them.
So it's not transparent. The budget is not transparent. That's all I'm asking you, Jeff. That's it.
You do realize there's been a lot of disruptions in the city this year?
Yeah,
Do you
wonder
agree?
why, okay, really, do wonder why. You boil it down, but I've been here 6 years, all right? I am just gonna make this statement, okay? We have been through 2 city managers, one of which, the Bryson and Klepak, hired illegally, turned out to be a disaster, and had we not have terminated him, we would have been in big trouble. Half the staff quit. These same 2 got rid of Kevin Denny, the chief of police, because they thought he was.
We are getting off topic
I
here.
can't
We're
answer
getting
the
off the
question.
topic here. We're talking about this budget.
Okay, all right.
So if you're mad about the past, and you're mad about maybe you didn't get the
My
information, and you
dad, history
requested
doesn't
it,
matter. You wanna repeat the
then you
mistakes?
have your
Keep going.
answers right here.
Okay,
They're right here.
keep going,
There's
I don't know
another,
what you have a problem
Keep going.
with here.
keep going,
there's another allocation worth
keep
noting.
going.
So when we first got our original budget, it was discovered that, in the city itself, in fiscal year 2023, 70% of our property tax collection was being used to pay for utility debt. So that was something that concerned me in service, because those collections oftentimes is what should be funding our own infrastructure and streets and maintenance and so since our leadership took over this budget and has made the changes and allocations in the way that she has, in fiscal year 2024, it went from 70% to 54%. So she's already taken a reduction there. And then in this new proposed budget, we're going from 54% and taking an additional 17% off of that. So in the 2 years of service, closing out the second budget year, she's cut that almost in half, keeping your property tax money where it should be. It's very impressive results in 2 years.
And we chased her out here, is what you're telling us.
Yeah.
Not us,
Yeah.
just saying.
And that was one of the requests that several of us had in service, is how can we keep our property taxes local and utilities pay for utilities? Because as we all know, we are lacking in maintenance for our own community and our own streets, and this is a way of getting those funds back to our citizens.
And because this is a budget meeting, don't we pay money to actually transport our waste down to Georgetown?
Why is that, do you think?
That was happening.
It was for
Why
quite
is
a
it?
while, at least
$7,000
2
to
or 3 loads a day.
$10,000 a
I
week.
mean, that's a,
And we're doing,
And that is because the city failed to meet its obligations because.
I'd like to hear from the mayor, please.
Oh,
Give me
that's
a
right,
moment.
you don't want an answer, right?
Not from you.
that's why we're doing why we're currently doing a utility rate study. That's going to help us recoup a lot of those funds that we had to expense doing that. And if you want to talk about why that happened, it's not because of our current city manager, Danielle.
We did not put another pump and dump down by Daniel's place, we sure did. I made a
That should be out of a
statement here.
lawsuit.
I don't know who's talking, but let me
Doesn't
finish,
matter. She's
okay?
the public.
It's all right, let me finish.
But if
all
you're
right?
going to speak lies, I'm not going to let you finish.
Well, okay, how about letting me finish? We decided in city council here a year ago that if ever we had a situation like we had at Calumet, where we had a pump and dump for $10,000 a week, I said, how did we ever get into that? Because we did not meet our obligation to the developer. And rather than saying stop and don't build anymore because we can't handle the wastewater and water, they went ahead and did a pump and dump at the cost of $10,000 a week. Okay, now, we're not done. That was decided by the council. I asked if we had remedied that, if we will never have that happen again, and it happened twice. 487 lift station was costing us $10,000 to $15,000 a week, so that we could build Rancho di Cielo for the builder and continue without having the capacity, because once again, we didn't meet our obligation to take care of the water and wastewater.
What
Okay?
timeframe?
Now
is
that, I'm not caring about timeframes right now, I'm telling you.
What?
Project-
Yes, that is.
$2 million.
Okay.
That $2 million turned into this year's budget at over $6
How long have
million.
you sat on the council?
Okay.
6 years.
6, wow.
No, I've been involved in the politics here for 6 years, okay? And that was when Troy Bradshaw used to sit here and Charles Ashby and council members used to go powwow and never mind, I'm not gonna get into the whole thing, and before every meeting. And isn't that true, Charles?
No.
Right, never happened.
You need to get your stories.
I mean,
that'd be nice, huh? I don't think people
do
understand.
you not talk to any other council members?
I'm done talking.
Okay. Quit placing the blame for what happened in the past on the current
It's in the current
people that
budget.
work for the city.
What was the cost Name the cost. Somebody knows the budget, Tanya. Name the cost of what it costs.
You got all the
Name
facts,
the
let's go.
cost, oh, now I got all the
I think it was
facts.
done, Tom.
Name the cost that Infomark cost us when I argued about that contract with, here, Art's well aware of that too. And we all got ripped off, never got paid, okay, and they screwed up.
Tell me how.
Okay, we went from $250,000 to take care of our sewer services
That is
to over $1 million. So you weren't here. Apparently you didn't win the council seat at that time.
So again, you're bringing up a time frame that doesn't reflect current legal.
Okay, that's
Mr. Mayor, just a question, since it is a budget hearing, and Jeff brought up all the costs of dumping pumps, talking about we're building out without the infrastructure, is what I'm hearing, correct? Okay. Isn't it Texas state law that you can't stop someone from building on their property, and if they're properly zoned, other than permitting and making sure they're meeting planning, you can't stop them from building. So it is the council's job to raise up to the expectations of what those developments are going to cost the city.
And that is why we went and hired a city manager that
Did a great job from what I
was
see.
overly qualified, because the city,
We need capital improvement.
yes, we don't have a whole lot of residents,
Mhm.
but our service area for wastewater and water
Big.
is huge. And when we were doing the hiring process, and Jeff knows this, we did a study on all of our wastewater and water services, the amount of people that we service. And we hired a city manager based upon those numbers and all of the projects that we have that we need to complete to fulfill all of our obligations. He has an issue with that.
Right. And
My-
she's
my
done what
issue-
is supposed to
my
be done
issue is
for this
simple.
budget to get us where we need to be and to save us money, right?
Council
So what's
has-
costing us money is this, right here.
Yes.
Council had agreed that we would never get into that situation again, and I asked if it was remedied because of the cost to the citizens. Okay, and now that is a ton of money. And how did we get into it again if in fact it was said right here that we would never get into that again? And we had a remedy to make sure that when we promise that we will have infrastructure, that infrastructure will be in place and we're not chasing down pump and dumps at the cost of the citizens.
Since Mr. Sidell likes to take slanderous comments and swipes, after the meeting, I will be out here in the common area. Everybody come up and ask me. We're not gonna make just little broad slaps at people to make your little political moves bigger, okay? I will be out here, not as a council member, but as a citizen. I'm gonna answer to the public.
Sure, you've been here 12 years, don't know what the hell you've done, Daniel, but we won't get into that.
How does anything
You've been here
done?
half that time and you do know what you're talking about?
No, I absolutely don't know what I'm talking about, all right? I'm just learning.
This young
So,
man.
So-
that's why I ask questions,
Okay.
and they're questions people have.
You ask questions and answer your own questions.
Apparently, Tanya answers them for me.
So you're asking about the pump and dump, but actually your city manager got you out of a pump and dump situation that had been obligated by a previous city
No, she
manager.
calls
And by-
that,
Let her finish.
No.
Let her finish.
It is a frac
I know what
tank
you're talking about.
that alleviates the need for the pump and dump.
Okay.
And then
she's
it
not
will
doing
tie
it.
into a
Finish.
permanent system. And this city councilman told her that the next time they would put one in, they'd put it across the street from her house. Guess what? There is one across the street from her house, and there was one temporarily there. She didn't complain. It was for the better of the city because the system is not up to date enough
You know,
to
smile.
meet demand.
Now, as long
She
as,
kept you out of a lawsuit.
okay, now that is real nice to say, sounds
It's
pretty.
absolutely true.
It's a
But
fact.
it was not engineered properly. Daniel was right. There was a flood.
Some rainwater overflow?
Please be quiet. No.
Yes.
Yes, it was rainwater.
Overflowed into two houses that are down by Daniel, and those people are elderly. They had no way of remedying it. And what happened at that point was they contacted the city, and the city said, "Active God, you're on your own." And they have to seek their own remedy to remove crap out of their house. Period. Two people.
And the fire
Go check
station
it out if
tested
you're-
the water,
you
and
run
it was
the-
not-
You run the page for facts, right, or whatever you do for Danielle or whoever.
I don't do anything for anyone, sir.
Okay, so you
I do
do
it
it
for the
independent.
better of the city.
Okay,
Okay.
ask those questions of those two people down there who've had their house flooded
Okay,
with
okay.
wastewater.
Okay.
They've also been reimbursed by TMO.
They've been reimbursed by TMO.
Ooh, funny how you missed that one.
Gee, that never
Oh, you
happened.
forgot to
If
tell
that is something
everybody
the
about
council wanted the city to pay for, council members can easily request that. And we can have that discussion. We can take a vote on it. That was never done.
So who got the ball?
To the city manager, correct? Or you?
You said that it happened. You never said that, hey,
I
we have a
want-
discussion about this.
So
so
what
the
I
city can
said was,
reimburse
when it happened, I told people that reported to the city, which is the proper thing,
That's
and
what
did
they
not
did.
come complain to me, right, which they did, right? So you never know, I didn't hear that there was damage except for on social media. You didn't contact me and say, Daniel, this happened. There's very little communication sometimes from you. Maybe it's because you're busy, whatever. Great. But what I'm telling you is, it's like, yes, we could have voted on it. You put things on the agenda. It wasn't on the agenda. I just heard that there was damage and I assumed the city would reimburse them. What I heard was the same thing, was it was an act of God and they weren't paying it. So apparently, they did rectify it, which is great.
No, TMO.
City turned it over to TMO.
We have TMO for.
Okay, yes, so it was resolved. Great.
So why are we discussing this?
If she brought it up.
it. No, he brought it up. He brought it up.
That, so.
Back to budget, please.
And you do realize that money in the budget is to design a wastewater treatment plant on the west side.
You do understand there's a lot of people who don't want it on the west side also.
That's a
Gotta go somewhere.
Sure, I have no problem with that. But there's also a large contingent of people who don't want it there for a few reasons, more than a few reasons. So anyway, yes,
I mean, I would assume nobody wants a wastewater treatment plant anywhere.
let's put one next to that.
Can we stay on topic, please?
Other questions about the budget? I mean, there's a base budget column there, and that's kind of fixed cost expenses for next year, enhancements. That's what we can talk about. Talk about other stuff, basically be talking about firing city employees, and I don't think any of us want to do that, so.
I don't know.
Yeah, somebody does.
Obviously, people are getting paid too much. Got to do something with them. What are y'all gonna do? Are y'all gonna keep them, or are y'all gonna get rid of them? Mr. Seidel says we're paying them too much. Are we paying our employees too much, council? Yes, no?
Not in my mind.
How many
Anybody else?
salary surveys were done and they're comparable?
I'm just curious. Yep.
No.
Actually, I can speak on the police department side of it. I did
Okay.
a salary survey back in November, December of last year, over all the police departments around our area that we compete with, including APD, Clean, East and West, and there were 23 different police departments I looked at. I took the ones in the median, did the salary survey, were within 1% of their mean now, so that makes us comparable or compatible with what they're doing. If we don't increase the 5% coming up, we're not gonna be in the same boat.
And that's pay, but what about compensation? Retirement, is it TMRS? Is it, okay,
6% TMRS,
you know, insurances, all those things come into play, I can tell you. 25 years law enforcement myself, I can tell you at 25 years, you got some injuries.
there's no stipends associated. I took everything and rolled it back into their salaries, so that it's all leveled out for all the officers. The only thing we have going right now is the increases that we're gonna have, for employees. For its years of service, it's not stipends anymore, it's total years of service. So if you have somebody coming in new who has 5 or 7 years of experience, we can kind of match that salary.
That's the only way you're gonna get experience.
Is that paying too much, Jeff?
She's gonna be on patrol soon.
Actually, I presented that information back in January.
Well, it's just a curiosity, because Jeff seems to focus on we're paying our employees too much.
Yet he
I
wants to
don't,
say-
hold on. I don't hear anything from Mr. Marsh, and I don't think I've heard anything from Mr. Islis as well. I've heard from Patrick and Ms. Clausen. What about you, Mr. Klepak?
I think we're very competitive.
With all the employees? Across the board? Okay, that's all I'm asking. Across the board, do you feel that the city is paying competitive pay to their employees?
Yes.
You as
Yeah,
well,
competitive.
are we competitive? Do you feel that we're competitive? So, are we paying too much to our employees? I guess that's the biggest question, because this is what Mr. Seidel is saying right
What I'm
now.
saying is you shouldn't be getting 3 raises in a year.
It doesn't matter, Jeff. We are competitive.
That's your opinion, Mr. Oliver.
So on that note, could we get somebody of equal value for what we're paying, this thing at this time? Probably maybe more, because we're competitive, so. Maybe it's the experience, maybe we could have got somebody more experience for what we're paying,
No.
possibly.
But we have a HR
But
manager.
what we're paying is competitive. It's, we're right now with everybody else.
So you want to make sure that we're not paying less for our employees, right? I mean, that's exactly what you're saying. You want to pay less. You want to get paid to sit up there and talk about the budget. That's what you want. You want to be paid to sit there and talk about whatever it is you want to talk about.
And Jason, I will say that it doesn't matter what you guys are paying, if this council is unstable and people see what's happening here tonight,
Nobody wants to work for this place. Why would anybody want to work
Because they're
here?
have a job in 6
Why would
months.
anybody want to come here for that? And take abuse from you?
I'm not abusing anyone. I'm just asking questions.
You're very passive aggressive on that.
How are you, my man?
Look in the mirror, Jeff. Get over it.
Can I
Where-
say something else about the budget? I have been coming to these budget meetings for 4 years. I have seen, last year's budget by Danielle was the longest budget I'd ever seen, most detailed budget I have ever seen, and Jeff says is lacking detail. Well, the ones previous to that, we spent in budget workshops, there was a budget workshop that was 1 minute that I went to, that everybody said, I have no questions, let's go. And those budgets were like 7 pages of Excel spreadsheet as compared to what this 80-page budget or whatever it is. This has so much more detail and information and decisions on things that you can do to enhance the city. There is way more in this than anything that was ever presented prior. And budget workshops with no information were just, okay, let's ask 2 questions and let's walk out of here.
Excuse me, I don't know your name, so I can't.
Okay, that is not relevant.
You've had 4
Well, okay,
years to
so
learn,
stop
you've
right
introduced
there.
yourself to me about 10
Let me answer your
times.
question. If you've been here that many years, then you should then be aware that at every month, we would get updates from Larry
We
Bush.
did not
who was-
get
Oh, we
updates
sure
every
did.
month.
And we got updates all the time.
You got them
Anytime-
occasionally.
Anytime we asked for it, we would get a budget that said, here's where we projected, here's where we are.
Okay,
And that is what
I think
many
you've
budgets were.
stated that on several.
Look, I have taken time to discuss these things with people that know. I've spent 2 hours with Mayor Larry Bush. I've spent a half hour with Troy Clausen discussing these matters.
Where are they? They're not concerned.
How come they're not in here right
Because
now?
they're not concerned, I guess.
I don't believe Troy talked to you about that.
Hey, I believe you're wrong again, Charles, okay? So smile
You
while
want
you
to call
okay.
Troy and find out?
Well, you know what? Go ask Troy Clausen if he spent that time with me. Go ask him.
30
Go
minutes
ask him.
with you in your truck and him telling you
Oh,
to
now
take
you
his
is, you do
spot.
know that I talked to him.
I do know.
Okay, and I was out of my truck, as
Yeah.
a matter of fact.
And he told you to take his picture of his truck off your website. because
Which is
he
my
does
picture,
not
by the way,
support
Charles,
you
not
in
his,
any
okay?
way, shape,
So I
or
can take a picture of you and it ain't
I'll
yours,
gladly
okay?
say-
I will take it off, look at a courtesy, so
Yeah.
his car won't appear on my
I want to
website.
make clarity to Troy Clausen for disclosure, that is my brother.
Right.
We are with ACDI Clausen Disposal, and you did receive a cease and desist because you're using our business photos for your campaign.
And I
We
will also
instructed
make
you
that
to
statement
remove them.
again, that there's no such thing as a cease and desist of my pictures. I own them, you don't
You
own
came
them.
on to our-
I can,
you-
look,
you
you
came
can
to my
argue it
property.
any way you want, but I will take them off out of courtesy. I don't have to
Please do.
take them off.
And I'm not endorsing what you're doing.
While Diane's out of the room, I think it should be on the record that what he just did to Diane was abusive.
I'm sorry.
Calling her out for her pay in public in a.
I was asked the question, if any employee, name one.
No, you're
I
being
did.
abusive.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
That's his MO.
I guess she can now, she can file an EEOC complaint now,
She probably
right?
should.
I think she should. I mean, the
All right,
poor
I'll give it up
woman is
for her.
crying over there, Jay.
55 minutes here.
Jeff.
And there's been very little discussion about the budget. We're not of it. So we can suggest that we return back to the posted agenda item.
Okay,
Take a recess.
we're gonna take a short recess.
What will you guys?
Charles, thank you for helping Project Grad, where it's over 10 grand for our seniors last year at all the costs we used.
Oh, yes.
But he doesn't do anything for free.
Not at
I already have Mike's that was on hold. Again, he's totally.
Oh, the first one is huge amount.
Oh, now it's
We might not want his back there with
Oh, it's on video.
Jeff Hellman, you know him?
Or even letting I know, now they're going back for signing it.
Okay. I don't think I've met you before, I've seen you a couple times. Once or twice. I'm telling you. Well, unfortunately, when it goes.
Gerald City Council is now back in session. 8:05 PM. With no other questions, I think we should close this budget workshop. All right, workshop is now closed. And as we discussed, agenda items 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3 are going to be pulled. We'll be rescheduling a meeting September 24th to hopefully pass the budget and tax rate. Agenda item number 5, we're going to adjourn into closed executive session. 5.1, closed executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071 to conduct a private consultation with its attorney, and the governmental body seeks the advice of its attorney about pending and contemplated litigation or a settlement offer on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter with employment of City Manager Danielle Singh. City Council is now adjourned at 7 p.m. Gerald City Council is now back in session. All right, agenda item 6.1, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding pending or contemplated litigation or a settlement offer or on a matter in which the duty of the attorney is a governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter to wit, employment of city manager Danielle Singh.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to direct our city attorney to solicit proposals for interim contracted city manager.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor in a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. And that was unanimous or
No, it's nay, I'm not, no.
abstained?
Okay.
That's 4-1. All right, with that, no further business. Gerald City Council